The Studer Community Institute, what an interesting history, and I think what a promising future. And I want to cover history just for a few minutes. When I first thought of the Studer Community Institute, I thought of an organization that could look at what progress is being made in the area, and I called it promise instead of problems, because problems are things that we can improve upon, and I thought promise was a more positive note. And we talked about a dashboard. I'm a big believer in a dashboard to let us know exactly how we're doing. And we started that way with Shannon Nickinson. Well, then Randy Hammer became available, and we got Randy, and we grew probably quicker than need be. And one of the things we were concerned about is there wasn't enough of local coverage of what was going on. So we looked at and sort of covering the local coverage. And we also heard in order to bring in money, you have to have website hits and that. So Pensacola Today was born. Well, some things happening on the way there. Number one is we found that the PNJ just got a heck of a lot better once Lisa came. Channel 3, WAI, started doing a lot more local programming, and we didn't want to bump into them. So we looked at the dashboard, we saw some key areas that really need attention. One of them was small business growth. According to Gallup, most growth is small businesses. We looked at what was happening on the landscape. We saw a real opportunity and a need to develop small businesses and leaders. Thus, the Studer Community Institute has a training and development arm. And as you can tell by the success of over 1,500 attendees at our events, it really sits there, and we find that we think we can grow businesses. We run our small business circles we've been running, and it'll be a nice fit with the University of West Florida Center for Entrepreneurship. We have a good relationship with the Institute of Human Machine Cognition, so we think that's really, really vital. Now, the other arm was we looked at education. And at first we thought, look at the dashboard. We looked at education, and we thought, wow, high school graduation rates are pretty scary, 66%. But then we came back with, well, we started digging into this, and we said, well, look at fourth grade math, third grade reading, and all of a sudden it hit us as we started diagnosing and assessing this, is kindergarten readiness was a key. That just enough of our children in Escambia County weren't ready for kindergarten. So I was thinking about if I'm in a classroom in Okaloosa, Walton, or Santa Rosa County, and I have like 30 children, which is a large classroom, I probably have maybe 5 that aren't ready for kindergarten or less. But I'm in Escambia County, I got over 10. And 2 of those are 2 or more years behind. So as a teacher, I'm working really, really hard. Well, then we started doing some literature search. And we came upon some things, and particularly landed on Dr. Dana Susskind at the University of Chicago, that helped us identify the problem once again of this kindergarten readiness, and it started with brain development. We hear a lot about physical development. Everybody knows when their kid should walk or sit up or feed themselves or so on, but do we really talk about brain development near as much as that? We go to a park and it's all bit up for physical development, but not brain development. We get a hearing test when an infant is born, and they get how can they hear, but not what should they be hearing. So at the Studer Community Institute, we've really thought our focus should really focus in on early brain development. And then it hit us. It just can't be something you write about. It has to be something you actually make happen. Actually roll up your sleeves and drive to be a facilitator and a doer. So what are the circles? And we, as you know, have trademarked and copyright America's first early learning city, America's first early learning community. Well, here are some ways we can do it here. It's going to take a lot of work and take a decade. Architecture. How do we build buildings? Does a school district teach learning when you're outside? When you go to a park, do you get brain stimulation? When you go into a business, does it have things for small children? When you walk up the steps, are they counted? Are you seeing things that are color coded? When we build the apartments, our benches outside are going to be in primary colors. So there's architecture. The resources. If you look at the resources, we have lots of resources. We have a lot of 0 to 3 centers that take kids when people go back to work and their child goes there and spends hours there. There's VPKs, but do we measure the quality, and can we increase the quality? That's a role the Studer Community Institute can and has to play, because even though your child might be there, if it's not quality, are we maximizing that early learning brain development? How do we get the media involved in this? How does everybody play a role in that early learning and brain development? That's the third circle. The next circle is K through 12. You might say, well, Quint, we're talking about early development. But what if we knew every child in an elementary school or high school who had a sibling that was under age 5? And what if we said to them, we're going to give you some things you can do with your brother and sister to help their brain develop, just like you help them physically, and then you can help them get better. And the other part of that now as we go into is what can also we do? It's that early brain development with that healthcare workers. What if every child in the hearing test, the parents were taught how to help the brain development? What if they got a 30-day visit at home, a 60-day visit, a 90-day visit, a 6-month visit? We have lots of videos, lots of training, lots of people. So we can roll up our sleeves and actually help in those parent visits, help facilitate them, because we want to make sure everybody in this community holds hands, gets together, and makes Pensacola and Escambia County America's first early learning city and early learning community. And right now, there's nobody that can do that better, working with everyone else than the Studer Community Institute.